Now we are going to begin with the next lesson of your syllabus, Yonamine and Bushi. Yonamine and Bushi. Yonamine Chiru was the most admired girl in Okinawa. She was intelligent, tall, strong, big, and beautiful. And most important of all, she was so well trained in karate that no one could beat her. When it was time to get her married, her father, who was a rich merchant, began to worry. He loved his daughter and wanted her to be happy and well cared for. She was beautiful and she would inherit a fortune from him. Means she was going to get a very good treasure, a good amount of gold, jewelry, and all sort of money and treasure from her father. But where? Oh, where? Could he find a young man who would come forward to marry a woman who was stronger than him? Yunamin had her own ideas about marriage. She declared firmly, I will only marry a man who can beat me in a fair fight. So now the girl is very strong and she demands that the person to whom she will get married should be strong and should beat her with her fight, but the person should not do any discrimination. He should play a fair game with her and he should win. Only then she will marry him. Surprisingly, many young men picked up the challenge and came forward to fight her. After all, she was a beautiful girl with a fortune. So many when this news came out in the kingdom, many young men came forward to challenge her because obviously she was very rich and she was beautiful too. Many wrestlers were eager to win her in a contest of martial arts. One of the first to ask for her hand was Kojo, who was actually bigger and stronger than Yunamin. He was so tall and well built that his hands were like shovels and his legs were resembled tree trunks. Shovel is a tool which we use normally for gardening. It is a plain blade like thing which you put in the soil and you take out the soil from a particular area. And tree trunk, everyone knows, it is the huge area of a tree. So now as per the description, Kojo was very strong. But Kojo played foul. Foul means he cheated in the game. Even as Yunamin was bowing to him, bowing means with respect you bend forward in the customary sign of respect. Now while she was bowing with respect to one's opponent, he threw a punch at her, breaking the rules of game. So this was a cheating, right? She was just giving respect while bowing down. But then what did Kojo did? He punched her. Yunamin was angry. She caught hold of his arm and twisted it so powerfully that the unsupportive Kojo fell down in a heap. Means like in one shot he fell down to limp away and he was defeated. And Yunamin won. Many promising young wrestlers tied their hand, but Yunamin defeated all of them. Her father was in despair. Despair means he was shocked and he was surprised and he was even sad. He was thinking now what would happen, who would come and win his girl. Young men wanted to marry girls who would cook and wash and make them tea. Who would marry a girl who enjoyed wrestling? Bushi Kyo was just such a man. He had trained under the karate master Sakugawa. He proved to be such an expert that he was recruited by Shoko, the king of Okinawa, to be his personal guard. So now you can see that Bushi Kyo is a person who loves wrestling. He is very strong. He was trained by Master Sakugawa and he was very keen of wrestling. So he is the exact person who may win Yunamin. His friends said to Bushi, you should take on the challenge of this girl Yunamin. She may be big, but you are stronger and smarter than her. Bushi too was keen to marry a girl like Yunamin. He did not want a delicate, fragile girl. Delicate, fragile means who is weak, who is very conservative, like she doesn't know anything, she is weak and she cannot protect herself. He doesn't want like that girl. He wants someone who can fight for herself. I shall fight with her and win over her, he decided. Even Yonamine was impressed at the sight of her new challenger. Means even she liked him. Yunamin liked Bushi when she saw him. She had heard that he was one of the King Shoka's personal warriors. He was tall and slim. He stood firmly on his feet and seemed unshakable. Means, at the first sight itself, Yonamin could find that he was very firm and confident. Above all, he had dark, piercing eyes. He had beautiful black, dark eyes, which looked straight at the opponent and showed that he was fearless and straightforward. The wrestling match began. Yonamin and Bushi bowed to each other and they began to attack each other. They punched, kicked, and twisted using their best techniques. It looked as if the match was going to be a tie. Nobody winning, nobody losing. But a crucial moment in the fight, Yonamin paused. Ever so briefly, Bushi took the advantage of the moment and brought her down with a swift punch. Yonamin's father was very happy man. Bushi and Yonamin were married in a splendid ceremony. It was a happy marriage. Yunamin was kind and loving. She cooked and cleaned and kept her house spick and span, means it was very neat and tidy. One day, when she was sweeping the kitchen, Bushi saw her lift a huge bag of rice with her left hand. As she swept beneath the bag with her right hand, he grew thoughtful. Is she really so strong? And yet I brought her down with one punch. One day, Yunamin announced that she would like to visit her parents. I will leave in the evening, she said, and return on the next day. In the time to cook you dinner, she said to her husband. You really should not travel during the night, Bushi said to her firmly. There are bandits about. It is just not safe for a woman to go out alone after it is dark. So her husband is very caring and he is telling her, assuring her that you do not go out in night, during night. My dear husband, you forget that you married a trained wrestler, Yunamin said to him with a smile. Now she is telling that you don't worry, I am a wrestler. You forgot that? Don't forget that I threw you down flat on the ground, said Bushi. You are not unbeatable. So now the husband is telling, but you don't forget that I defeated you in the match. Don't worry, said Yunamin. Bandits are not as skilled as you are. I can take care of myself. Bushi was not pleased. He was not very happy. She is overconfident, he thought to himself. She must be taught a lesson for her own good. So now he is thinking that she is overconfident and I must teach her a lesson. That evening, Yonamin left to walk to her father's home. As soon as she departed, as soon as she went out of the house, Bushi disguised himself as a bandit. Means he dressed up like a bandit, wearing shabby clothes, smearing dark colors over his hand and covering his face with a scarf. He ran as fast as he could to hide behind a clump of tree at a fork on the road. So he wanted to hide behind the tree so that he could attack his wife and teach her a lesson. Darkness fell and he saw Yunamin approaching the fork, from where she would take a left turn to reach her father's house. When she crossed the clump of the tree, Bushi jumped out from the trees and tried to attack her. Yunamin was swift and sharp in her reaction to the attack. She held her attacker by the hand and kicked him with such a force that attacker fell down on the ground unconscious. Yonamine dragged him and tied him to a tree with her sash. She adjusted her backpack and set off round corner for her father's home. In this action we can see that Yonamine was not at all overconfident. She knew what she was and she was trained and she was swift. And what she did to the bandit is she fought with him, and because he was unconscious when he fell down, she tied him to the tree's trunk and she went to her father's home. The next day, as she was returning the home in afternoon, she saw her bandit was still tied to the tree as she had left him in the previous night. And now she said to the bandit, "Shall I untie you or leave you here?" she asked him. So the bandit said, "Please untie me. I beg you to forgive me. I shan't ever do this again." So he is telling that please untie me and I will not ever do this again to you. Swiftly, she untied him and walked away quickly. She was in hurry. She had to reach home in time to cook for her husband's evening meal. Little did she realize that she had just released her husband from his captivity. Captivity means from the trap which she had done. She had tied him to the tree's trunk. That evening, Quite a while after she had set the dinner ready, Bushi walked in looking tired and dull. She helped him wash and set out fresh clothes for him to wear. She invited him to a hot meal. As Bushi sat down to dinner, he brought out a white sash from his pocket and gave it to his wife. This is yours. If sash means white rope, I'm not mistaken, this is the white sash and it belongs to you, he said, looking into her eyes. Oh, Bushi, was it you? I'm so sorry, exclaimed Yonamin. Now she's so sorry that she has realized that it was her husband who she tied to the tree's trunk. You don't have to be sorry, said Bushi. You taught me a lesson that I won't forget all my life. And that is, don't underestimate anyone. Not even a woman, asked Yunamin playfully. Especially not a woman, said Bushi. And they burst out laughing together. And in this way, the story was ended. I hope you all have understood the story. Complete the assignment given with this. And thank you.